Make yourself famous!
Should have did that earlier. That would have made life a whole lot easier. Well, hello all and welcome to the Heel Turn Podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah Jackson Jr. Got to get into the Raw review. This is the Heel Turn pretty much after dark, the post show after Raw. And look, we got to get into all the good stuff because honestly, it wasn't a bad Raw. I didn't go to sleep towards it. I mean, that's what I was talking about with AEW, man. And this is not a shot at AEW. I'm not comparing and contrasting because, as we mentioned before, WWE was in the exact same position that AEW was in just literally 3 or 4 years ago. And so AEW, I just can't review. I tried to. It's just impossible to stay up. Impossible to stay up. Raw, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. There were some negative spots that we're all, of course, going to get into. But honestly, Jey Uso kicked off Monday Night Raw. Paul Heyman met him there as well. Paul Heyman kind of baits Jey Uso into a main event match with Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title. He wants to put the World Heavyweight Championship on the line on Monday Night Raw. And of course, Jey Uso, he ain't a hoe, so he's going to go always. And honestly, I'm going to save my thoughts on the match a little bit later. But as soon as Paul Heyman came out and they had the conversation, I was like, oh, okay, look, this... My whole plan, my whole ideology of Seth Rollins beating Jey Uso for the title within 3 months is getting hot-shotted to now. You know, I was like, we're just skipping right into it with the quickness. And honestly, I don't mind it. You know, I don't mind it at all. I'm a huge fan of what's going on with Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman as well. I think they're a great trio. And honestly, they're gonna explode. You know, once that things start rolling, once the gears start turning, I think everything is going to start turning around for Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. More success coming their way for sure. But of course, afterwards, just moving on into Monday Night Raw. Penta took on JD McDonough, and honestly, I didn't hate this match. I thought Penta was really, really awesome here. Of course, you got some Judgment Day shenanigans, but then Chad Gable sticks his nose where it don't belong, and he almost cost Penta the match. Penta does end up beating JD McDonough with the Mexican Destroyer. And JD McDonough, I didn't really expect him to win this match because Penta's on a roll right now. You're going to want to push the man. And so seeing JD McDonough put on a clinic, as you know, he once was as Jordan Devon. You know, we're starting to see more great work from JD, and I'm honestly happy that he's getting a little bit more shine on TV. We're starting to see him a whole lot more, and this is after, you know, him pretty much rupturing his lung, puncturing his lung. There it goes. I have to think of the proper term for it, but pretty much he lost the lung. The man lost the lung. He was wrestling a match with one lung, and we're going to be 100% with it. And when you see how things are playing out with the Judgment Day, Finn Balor, you know, he's getting a little hot. Now Chad Gable's in their business. Dominic Mysterio was like, hey, man, Finn Balor, you know, why don't you handle AJ Styles? It's because AJ Styles came out there and is doing exactly what I'm doing, flustering his words. AJ Styles came out and said, hey, Dominic Mysterio. This is after the Penta match, after Penta beat JD McDonough. You know, AJ Styles walked up to the Judgment Day and he goes, hey, I want to fight you for your WWE title. Whoa. You know, it's just like, what's this like time stopped for AJ Styles? Like, whoa, I just am so flustered. Yeah, you're flustered, buddy. I was flustered with you. I didn't know what the hell you were trying to say. You know, I was floored with AJ Styles, but that cracked me up. AJ Styles is having a field day, you know, with just being more relaxed, you know, in WWE. You know, I think he's still having a fun time as is. You know, there was a point in time when we thought AJ Styles was just sitting on the sidelines, a little bored, but you know, he's shining. He's shining. And here goes Seth Vince. Huge shout out. Literally thought he almost had the match won against Penta. Honestly, same. Honestly, same, man. I was a huge fan of the match. If JD McDonough had won, I wouldn't have been mad. That's not a match that you can't really be upset with who won there. You know, Penta, we've seen him lose before. You know, Penta can't take an L. Yes, and if for him to lose to JD McDonough, and for them to even start a rivalry there, we've seen him go back and forth with Ludwig Kaiser, seen him go back and forth with Pete Dunne. I mean, you could go back and forth with a JD McDonough, and then that can also boost you up to going up to Dominic Mysterio as you're, going up to your going up with your beef with the Judgment Day, as you see him going up for his title match for the Intercontinental Championship with Penta, which is why AJ Styles walked up to him and flustered his words there. But still a whole lot of fun. Still a whole lot of fun. I'm loving what the Judgment Day is doing here. You know, Finn Balor is still getting a little hot at Dominic Mysterio. I just can't wait for Finn Balor to turn. Like I said, Finn Balor may be old, and I'm talking old just in wrestling athletic terms. Because look, I love basketball, baseball, football, all that. Once you hit like 33, 34, they're like, oh, brother, how about we give you this walker here? You know, you over here walking on your legs here. How about this wheelchair? Like, like they treat you like you're elderly. And so with wrestlers, it's like if wrestling is just like in reverse. You know, you see guys like Roman Reigns, guys like Bianca Belair, all of them are mid-30s, some of them in their 40s, Finn Balor, AJ Styles, but they can still go. There's still a whole lot of juice left. There's still some gas left in the tank, and some of them are even in their prime. The Damian Priest of the world. So honestly, when you're seeing guys like Finn Balor, I think there's still a whole lot of juice left with that man. He still has a whole lot of work that needs to be done. I want to see another title run with the man. I think he's ready. I think more than ready. He's been ready. We just haven't seen him get pushed the way at least I would have thought he would have got pushed. Here we go. We finally, or hopefully, should be getting Austin Theory and Grayson Waller split. Now, look, I was never an A-Town Down Under fan. I'm not even a Grayson Waller fan. That's my problem. I'll just tell y'all right there. I'm not a Grayson Waller fan. Grayson Waller makes me sick. Grayson Waller makes me sick to my stomach. And the reason why is because, to me, he's just, I don't know. To me, Austin Theory's fun. Austin Theory, he could spit a solid promo. He could be serious. He could be funny. Well, not really funny. To me, it's more so cringe, but he could be comical when need be. Grayson Waller, he's boring to me. I've never once smile or crack a joke, or not crack a joke, but like crack a smile, or just like am amused when Grayson Waller's on my TV screen, unfortunately. So Austin Theory has definitely been my go-to guy. Like I said, this is where the money is at. This is where the money is at. Nobody take my idea, but I'm pretty sure somebody's thought about this already. You put Austin Theory with all ego Ethan Page, that's money there. I think there's money there. Like, that's something that, like, you could have done something with, Breezango. I think you could have got some work there. But honestly, I feel like you could do a whole lot with Austin Theory, all ego Ethan Page, just two assholes that can wrestle really, really well, and they can talk really good too. I think there's some fire there, and there's heat there too. That's their walking heat magnets. So I think that would be perfect. Yeah, I think they should just boot Grayson Waller out of there, plug all ego Ethan Page in, and I think you got yourself a decent tag team. Honestly, I think that's one thing that WWE should look into. Well, but who am I? I'm just here sitting on the couch talking about wrestling. But obviously, Grayson Waller was talking to Adam Pearce before he made things official with his match, with Grayson Waller's match. Grayson Waller said, hey, look, how about Austin Theory? Austin Theory, how about you? How about you take a shot? How about you get a shot? How about you wrestle on TV? It's your time to shine. And you can take my match. You can take my guy. It's a surprise, though. Then, of course, Sheamus comes out. He doesn't really beat the brakes off of Austin Theory. Let me slow it down a little bit. This is a solid match. Austin Theory got his shit in. Austin Theory wasn't out there just getting absolutely snubbed. But it was a really solid match. As Michael Cole brought up a couple times. He said that Austin Theory and Sheamus had multiple matches for the United States Championship as well. They had a solid rivalry. A huge shout out to Seth Vince. He says Theory should join Rollins, Breaker, and Heyman. I like that. I like that. I like that so much. Seth Rollins, look, if you want to be the visionary, you know, the revolutionary. You could be that guy, you know, that brings up the new talent. You could be Randy Orton. Not Randy, excuse me. You could be Triple H in Evolution. You know, Triple H was like, you know, I got the legend and Ric Flair that's pretty much going to lead us. I'm the head honcho. You know, we have the veteran that's going to grant us experience, the wise man. That's pretty much our wise man. You have, and then Batista and Randy Orton, the youth. But of course, Batista being the muscle and Randy Orton holding the athleticism. Man, Seth Rollins could be Triple H in that situation. Now, of course, I don't want to, you know, compare Paul Heyman to Ric Flair and none of that instance, but you could have yourself a Batista Randy Orton situation there. I like that, man. I like that. I really like that. Look, Triple H needs to give us a phone call. Hunter Hearst need to give us a phone call. Look, we doing magic here in the Heel Turn podcast. But even with that, Sheamus walks away with the win. Said we haven't seen him since the Royal Rumble. Hey, like I said, me and Devin was there, had the time of our lives. And I'm happy to see Sheamus. I really am. And I want to see a little bit more from him too, honestly. You got to give Karrion Kross some credit. Even with as limited wrestling matches as we seen from him, man, he's been spitting, he's been talking his ass off. And the thing that really popped me was when the New Day, after WrestleMania, when they won the tag titles, they're walking in the hallway, they walk past Karrion Kross gives them that head nod, like I tried to tell you, like, you know, it's just like I told y'all, like, just look, I was giving y'all these speeches for a minute, y'all wasn't listening to me. Look, y'all finally opened up y'all ears. And look what happens. I work wonders. I make magic happen. And you got to give it up to Karrion Kross, because with his promos, he's just putting together work. And I love it. I love it. So you got to give Karrion Kross a whole lot of credit. I just can't give Lyra Valkyria a whole lot of credit, man. And I'm sorry. I love me some Lyra Valkyria. She is one of my favorite wrestlers right now in the WWE. But damn it, you know, like, it's like nobody gives a damn with what Lyra Valkyria has to say. She could be talking about how to make the world a better place. She could be telling us about when we finna pass away, and nobody's listening. You know, nobody's paying attention to what Lyra Valkyria got going on. And that's what bugs me the most. It's like when she's talking, there's crickets. And I'm like, please. Like, you know, I'm trying to understand, like, why nobody isn't vibing with what like Lyra Valkyria's got going on. Huge shout out to Justin, the boss, the Redeemer. What's good, my guy? Hey, see you on Thursday, my brother. See you on Thursday. And me, Devin, and Justin gonna go live on Thursday, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. We're gonna have a whole lot of fun. I'm gonna bring out this book. We finna go this book. I went the wrong way. We're gonna have a whole lot of fun, so don't forget to tune into that as well. We're also gonna see if and I didn't mention this to you, Justin, at all, but because me and Devin are working on doing Wrestling Jeopardy with me, him, and my sister. We're gonna get it hooked up in here, but we're definitely gonna see if we could get some of the Circle of Debate family involved as well. So we'll definitely keep you updated on that too. And I know that's just random coming out of nowhere, and that's mainly because, hey, it may happen, it may not happen. We're just experimenting right now as we go. But yeah, nobody gives a damn about what Lyra Valkyria has to say, and it makes me sick. I love Lyra Valkyria. I'm always tuned in with what she has going on, except for earlier, because number one, I hate Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch, to me, and put it in Justin terms, Becky Lynch to me is what Charlotte Flair is to Justin, and what Charlotte Flair is to a lot of people. You know, a lot of people can't stand Charlotte Flair, and I love me some Charlotte Flair. She is my queen. I acknowledge her, you know, but when it comes to Becky Lynch, it's been the same thing, as I mentioned before, over and over again. And you're seeing and hearing the same thing from Becky Lynch. But Lyra Valkyria, she had a point that, you know, Becky Lynch always wants to be the first whatever. But to say that Becky Lynch was the first woman to main event Mania and won, to say that she's the first one to be the Raw Women's Champion, and then say, oh, well, you were also the first Intercontinental Championship. Oh, wait. That was me. Look, I'm sorry. WrestleMania, you know, like Raw Women's Championship, look, if I'm Becky Lynch, I'll be like, bruh, like, that is not the flex you think it is. I'm sorry. That is not the flex. But, oh, man, I'm scared that Becky Lynch is going to take this title from her. I hope not. I hope Lyra can come through and beat her again. But it's just one of those things where I just see Becky Lynch going over on her. Becky Lynch having this weak ass run because her husband, is also doing great as well. And I'm not saying that Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins has anything going on, for the long haul. But man, I see some success coming both their ways. But for Becky, Jesus Christ, I do not want to see her hold a title for a long while, honestly. Io Sky took on Roxanne Perez. What was a solid match. I thought it was really, really fun to watch. The coolest thing about it, of course, and I'm not trying to be a jerk when I say this, was the ending. Because look, the match was hard hitting. I love the way Roxanne Perez, of course, hits the ropes. It's that second rope. She gets a little bit of rebound action with it. But one thing I really loved was the finish because it was just endless pinfalls. And man, that ref was exhausted. 1, 2, slide. 1, 2, slide. 1, 2, slide. Then finally, of course, Io Sky gets Roxanne Perez down 1, 2, 3 after 12 roll around pinfalls, it felt like, and Io Sky got the win. Roxanne Perez shakes the hand of Io Sky. Roxanne Perez walks away. You can already smell, there was something brewing. And obviously it was because Julia comes from behind, beats the brakes off of Io Sky. And also Roxanne Perez comes in. They beat her up too. And Rhea Ripley, as they mentioned, is in Australia. So she's pretty much gone. She's not really going to come through and help. She's not going to teleport to everybody's safety, to everybody's rescue as she used to. But it was a really fun match. I'm glad to see Roxanne Perez in the main card a little bit more often in the main shows. It's been really, really fun to see her. And she can hang. She can hang. So, and for as young as she is, too. So, I love seeing Roxanne Perez. Ooh, that burp was fighting me. I love seeing Roxanne Perez, and I do want to see a whole lot more of her, of course, on the main card. You got Otis taking on Rusev. And Rusev had this amazing. Oh man, I forgot what it's not a rolling. I forgot what the kick was. It's the certain man, I'm spacing on what the name of the kick was, and I am sick. But honestly, this match was a whole lot of fun. Rusev definitely showed his athleticism throughout it all. We saw an awesome comeback from Rusev. Otis fought really, really well in here. Unfortunately, Rusev just beat down on Otis. Afterwards, Akira Tozawa said, "Hey man, you fighting me right now. You ain't fighting Otis no more. You wrestling me." He rips off the shirt, Hulk Hogan style. Rusev just walks out. You already know where this is going. As they're looking on the injured Otis, they as in Akira Tozawa and Maxine Dupree. Rusev comes in, continues to beat down on Akira Tozawa, continues to beat down on Otis, and everybody is still had the same reaction they had when Lyra Valkyria was talking. Like honestly, like it's just I thought it was cool. I thought it was fun to watch. I love seeing a dominant Rusev, and I can't wait till his hot wife shows up. I was gonna get out of pocket and say something, but I just can't wait till his awesome, amazing wife Lana shows up because they are an amazing power couple. And more specifically, I just really don't think Rusev can. I'm not necessarily say handle his own, but it's just more so of that. Lana, I think, makes it a whole lot more exciting with their dynamic through it all. Because Rusev can't talk. But I think Lana kind of adds more intrigue to the Rusev character and everything that they have going on as well. Besides, their WWE side of things. So where, they have Bobby Lashley and Lana coming to, stupid stuff like that. But, I'm talking in terms of when they were together, Rusev with the long hair, it worked really well. That's the vibe I'm trying to get back to. You got Pat McAfee and Gunther going face to face. Man, the funniest thing about this was Pat McAfee, of course, he's shouting out Nebraska. He's having a fun time. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to stop real fast because I saw the boy Stavo pop up. Yo, what's good, my brother? How are you living? Hey, man. I was just doing a late night show on Raw, almost wrapping up, fam, because it's pretty much 10 o'clock. Got to go to work at 6, the fun stuff. But had to talk some wrestling. How you doing? Stavo, of course, a brother to the program, man. Haven't talked to that man in a grip. And look, man, he has been a blessing, since getting to know him from the radio station there at 1580, going over to WTSM TV, and to getting invited to hoop sessions. Like Stavo is the man in Arizona, so definitely got to give him some love. Huge shout out to Stavo. I'm glad to see you, brother. Man, we saw Pat McAfee take on Gunther, not in a match. They went on face to face, and Pat McAfee is pretty much giving a whole lot of love to Nebraska. He's shouting out Dylan Raiola, of course, a Phoenix man, and we're just seeing a whole lot of love from Matt Rule as well. Just a whole lot of love from Nebraska. Of course, he brings up the baseball team too, but then of course we get to him going into Gunther being soft. He's saying Gunther is out here just pretty much soft. He couldn't get the job done with Sami Zayn, couldn't get the job done with Jey Uso. Why? Because he's getting a little soft. And he shot at Gustavo. He says, "We out here getting it. How we living? I work at 5 a.m. as well. Izzy, my bro, miss you, man, for sure, fam." Hey, man, Gustavo, definitely appreciate you, brother. And that's the thing. Like, I always mention that too. I'm trying to get better at texting. That's one of the things. My New Year resolutions. Right now, I got to get a better phone. I'm switching off on phones. I should get another one by Friday. But even then, like, definitely, I'm a check in a whole lot more. I'm definitely gonna check in because, like I said, Stavo just a huge blessing, man. And I miss talking some Phoenix Suns. Miss talking just Phoenix sports with Stavo as well. Like I said, just a man of many talents too, as well, and a fire jump shot. Got to give him some love there. Fire jump shot too. But funniest thing about the Gunther and Pat McAfee promo was at the end after Pat McAfee calls Gunther soft. Gunther is just like, hey, look, he pretty much gives him the same rundown he gave Jey Uso. Look, I'm gonna be focused. I'm gonna be ready. I'm finna humiliate you. I'm gonna beat the brakes off you. And then Michael Cole, as soon as Gunther's done, Michael Cole is just like, well, there goes your hint of reality. It's just like, well, there's it. There goes Pat McAfee. And that's the thing. Michael Cole was doing a whole lot of talking, even though I feel like Pat McAfee is doing this for Michael Cole. Like, he's doing this because you're 60 years old and you can't fight. You cannot be in the ring at all. We don't care what your record is at WrestleMania. Like, we want you to stay at that announcement table. Hell, I want Pat McAfee to stay at the announcement table and not fight Gunther. But look, this is what we're getting, and Gunther's gonna beat the brakes off of Pat McAfee. I expect Pat McAfee to maybe get 4 seconds of offense until Gunther just completely chokes this man out. Like Gunther, I think Gunther's gonna dog walk Pat McAfee. We're probably not gonna see this man for a while till football season. Pat McAfee's gonna be absolutely destroyed. And if he doesn't at Backlash 5 days from now, then yeah, I think it's a huge problem. I think it's a huge problem as is. So, of course, that leads us to the main event. Jey Uso took on Seth Rollins. And honestly, this match was a whole lot of fun. There was a couple times I thought Seth Rollins had that match won. Unfortunately, just wasn't the case. Of course, Seth Rollins defeated Jey Uso, but that was due to disqualification. And you see a whole lot of help come Jey Uso way. CM Punk. We finally saw CM Punk come back for the first time in, 2 weeks? Since getting absolutely speared by Braun Breaker. And so we're seeing some great stuff from Jey Uso. Jey Uso had a fun match with Seth Rollins. It wasn't one of the matches that I usually poo-poo on Jey Uso on, where I'm really, really disappointed in. Where I'm just like, hey, man, why is this man even champion? Now, hey, you had a solid match with Seth Rollins, but Seth Rollins put on a really good match. Seth Rollins usually doesn't upset. The pedigree, pretty much that brings you back to the pedigree he had on Roman Reigns when he went up against Roman Reigns. I believe he beat him for the title, and then Dean Ambrose came in and cashed in on Seth Rollins. A really, really fun end to a pay-per-view as well. That happened, I believe, almost a decade ago. But we're seeing some great callbacks. We saw the stomp that just halfway landed on Jey Uso, which allowed Jey Uso to kick out. It was real fun. And I love Braun Breaker. I love to see Braun Breaker in action always. We saw Sami Zayn, of course, with the taped up ribs, just a little bit of pain there. And Jey Uso has some help on his side we also didn't even see his cousin. You know, we didn't even see Roman Reigns yet. So I think that's the fun part about it. Right. Well, here goes Stavo. Izzy checks in the mail. The nice stuff you said about, hey, he says, I definitely had to tap in, show some love, and wish you nothing but blessings. You and the loved ones, God bless y'all. Hey, man, God bless you too, brother. Really appreciate you. Nothing but love. I gotta tap in with Stavo, man. Stavo, like I said, just huge. But I have a whole lot more to say, but I'm running on fumes right now. I'm sleepy. I also have I do a YouTube channel on the side, Bulls Digest, where I talk about the Chicago Bulls, and I do a couple videos on there as well. So I'm splitting pretty much back and forth, and I'm having some fun, man. I'm having an absolute blast, but I'm losing my voice and I'm tired. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Losing my voice and I'm tired. And I do love how this Jey Uso thing is wearing out. I do love how Jey Uso, and I'm talking about in this 3-month span. Don't get me wrong. Like, you know, I do believe Jey Uso is still a 3-month champion. Like that's never gonna change. But I do love how the whole thing is faring out for Jey Uso. You know, we're getting some story here. Now his match with Logan Paul is going to be cheeks. I'm not going to care for that. I'm just happy that it's going to be Saturday. You know, we're just going to get it out the way over the weekend, and I'm going to forget about it after that. You know, we don't even have to worry about it. But that was Monday Night Raw in about 30 minutes. And the only reason why it's 30 minutes, of course, is because of doing this solo today. Of course, Devin is going to join us in the next one. Going to have a whole lot of fun. Like I said, the man is a busy, busy man, and we appreciate him for it. We appreciate him for it. That's why this whole thing is running the way it is, because Devin working hard. You know what I'm saying? So, look, huge shout out and huge love to Stavo, to Justin, of course, to Seth Vince, who popped on earlier as well. And, of course, if you have anything that you have to get off your chest, anything that you disagree with, don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below, and we can argue. We can have some fun as well. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.